You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad that you've joined me. I'm sorry that I'm late in getting this out to you, but I tell you, I got this house in South Carolina that's a really old house, and so what I've been trying to do is make it into a really southern house with a big, long front porch with pillars coming down. So I'm revamping this old house. And so I thought this morning, instead of doing the podcast, because normally I do my podcast early in the morning, get it in the can, and get it distributed out to all the sites that pick it up. But this morning I decided, I'm going to get out there before the sun gets too bright. I tell you, when the sun gets beating on you and you're out on the deck, it feels like there's this whole oven that's turned on high that's beating down upon you. So I decided to do that instead. So now it's about 10 o'clock at night. That's how late I am in trying to get this out to my distribution points and out to you so that we can talk. So over the past week, we've been talking about schemes, frauds, pyramid schemes, schemers, scammers. We've been talking about that. Today we're going to talk about the good old Ponzi scheme. And the Ponzi scheme is still out there. It's still going on. People are still getting ripped off. So we're going to talk about what the Ponzi scheme is, kind of the brief history of it, and some things that you can do to protect yourself on it. So a Ponzi scheme, and it comes from a guy called Charles Ponzi back in 1920. That's how long this. He did one of the biggest Ponzi schemes out there at that time. So let's kind of go over what a Ponzi scheme is. Now, some of this isn't going to be interesting. You're going to say, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep here. But don't, because you really need to know what to look out for. There are Ponzi schemes out there, even by the littlest guy, who can take a lot of your money and rip you off. So we need to be very careful about these types of individuals out there. Don't get ripped off by a Charles Ponzi. And there's a lot of them in a lot of different names. So let's go over it just a little bit. So a Ponzi scheme is fraud. 100% it's fraud. There's never any time where anybody walks out of this not hurt, because you will get hurt in a Ponzi scheme. It's a fraud in which a purported businessman that has all the right words, he knows your numbers, he knows the numbers that are going to get you to be enticed to join him and to put some money into his scheme. Anyway, he lures investors and pays profits to early investors using funds obtained from you, from newer investors. Investors may be led to believe that the profits are coming from product sales or an investment or other means, and you remain unaware that other investors are the source of the profits that you think you're going to get. It's sad, but it happens. So Ponzi schemes is able to maintain the illusion of a sustainable business as long as most of the investors do not demand full payment and are willing to believe in the non-existent asset that they are invested in or they think that they own. And there continue to be new investors willing to contribute new funds to cover your payments. We have a lot of these schemes going on, especially in the art world. People are buying these things and then they find out that they're not even existent, but people are being paid and they're getting their investment back. But it usually catches up. It always catches, not usually, it always catches up to the Ponzi. So the scheme is named after Charles Ponzi, who became notorious for using the technique in the 1920s. The idea had already been carried out by Sarah Howe in Boston in the 1880s through the ladies' deposit. Howe offered a society or solely female clientele an 8% monthly interest rate, and then stole the money that the women members had invested. How was then eventually discovered in several, and she served a 3-year. She served a 3-year term. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable in this chair because I'm sitting sideways. Sorry. Anyway, she got caught, and she served 3 years in prison. So the Ponzi scheme was also previously described in novels. For example, Charles Dickens' 1844 novel Martin Chuzzlewit and 1857 novel Little Dorrit. And in each of these books, it featured such a scheme. And it was carried out in real life by Ponzi and became well known throughout the United States because of the huge amount of money he took in. Ponzi's original scheme was based on the legitimate arbitrage of international reply coupons or postage stamps. And he soon began diverting new investors' money to make payments to earlier investors and himself. So the characteristics of a Ponzi scheme is, the basic premise of a Ponzi scheme is to, and we've heard this phrase before, it's called to rob Peter to pay Paul. Typically, Ponzi schemes require an initial investment and promise well above average returns. And you and I, we've talked about this all this week. If it's too good to be true, run. If they're offering you a lot of rewards and a lot of interest and a lot of investment come back to you in high amounts, run, because it's not going to happen. And what they do is they use vague verbal guises such as hedge futures trading, high yield investment programs, or offshore investment to describe their income strategy. It is common for the operator to take advantage of a lack of investor knowledge or competence, or sometimes claim to use a proprietary secret investment strategy in order to avoid giving information about the scheme. They're very vague. They don't tell you the whole story because they don't have a story. They don't have an investment because all that money is going to roll into them so they can buy their Ferraris and their yachts and their artwork and everything else. So initially what happens is that the operator of the scheme, or the Ponzi, will pay high returns to attract investors and entice current investors to invest more money. When other investors begin to participate, a cascade effect begins. The return to the initial investors is paid by the investments from the new participants, rather than from profits of the product. So that is it, and I see it a lot where clients have come in and said, "So Michael, I've lost all of my money to this guy," and I look at it, and pretty soon I see that it's a Ponzi scheme. The problem is that it's very difficult to get any of the money back that you've invested. Look at Bernie Madoff. I mean, they announced today that they're going to, or yesterday I believe it was, that they were going to they've been able to attach or sell off a lot of his assets to be able to pay back some of the investors. But it's a very long process, and sometimes all the money that has been put in is all gone. There's nothing left. So you're sitting there with a bag of nothing. And you thought, you know what, if I invest in this, I'll have a high return, and in my retirement years, I can sit back and relax. But the problem is, you sit up and you stand up with worry because now you have nothing left. Because you have been Ponzi'd. You participated in a Ponzi scheme that took all of your money. I hate to see it happen, but it happens way too much. And then we have to find an attorney, and that costs you money just to go after these individuals. The retainer of an attorney to go after this crime that has been on you becomes very expensive. Yes, the federal government comes in, but sometimes they just can't do anything. Then you have to go the civil route in court. And once you get into court, it becomes very expensive. So now you've lost more money, because the only one that makes money off of a Ponzi scheme and protecting you and trying to get your money back is the attorney. Take a deep breath. If this has happened to you, it was probably one of the worst lessons that you will ever experience. Ponzi's are out there in the small form to the big form. The Securities and Exchange Commission just shut down a Ponzi scheme that I believe it was about $84 million. 3 people involved, 3 companies involved, running this Ponzi scheme. So it's out there. Then the little guys out there too that says, hey, if you invest in me on this real estate deal, hey, I can get you some big returns. Once they say big returns or high numbers, I'm an accountant, so I'm always suspect of numbers. And so should you. You need to be suspect. So what can you do to protect yourself? And this is the most important thing. Especially if you're an older individual like me, join the club. You need to do your homework. I've told you, do your due diligence. On every one of these scams and scammers out there, do your due diligence on them. Get to know them. Only 20% of investors ever do a background check on brokers or products before buying. Some good starting places are the SEC's investor.gov. Go to SEC's investor.gov and the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority's brokercheck.finra.org. Then you need to look at the investor or firm. Check out the SEC Edgar database for free corporate information. The fee-based pacer.gov. And that's a search engine that you can buy into, but you can pull up cases. You can look at federal lawsuits and bankruptcies or your local courthouse for scams by your community, or what they call the area predators. And that's what they are. They're predators. They come after you. They smell your money. Run from red flags. I've talked to you about this before, that the language like risk-free, guaranteed returns, and everyone is doing it. My gosh, that should scare you off, and you should be running as fast as you can. Be careful even in safe places. Churches, country clubs, and community organizations are happy hunting grounds for you. They're looking for you. They want to pitch their Ponzi scheme. Rely on research over referrals from friends and relatives. Do your research. Do your due diligence. I keep telling you that every single day that we talk about business, taxes, and investments. Do your due diligence. Look these people up. Be careful in even the safest of places. God, so many Ponzi schemes have developed right in churches because people see the faithful being very easy to talk into getting into a Ponzi schemes. Maybe we should call these holy Ponzis, because that's where they go to to prey on you. Then we need to don't be fooled by credentials. Those letters after the names of brokers and investment counselors can be meaningless. Some are outright fakes, and some are gained by paying a fee or taking a short class. They're fakes. Gosh, I know some people who love those designations after their name. It's like Bob Jones, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, and it goes on and on and on forever. They're certified financial planners, they're CPAs, they're attorneys, they're JDs, they're whatever. They have all of these insignias after their name, but in a lot of instances, fake as can be. And please don't be starstruck. Celebrity endorsements don't mean an investment is legitimate. If you have questions or need to file a complaint, call the SEC or talk to your accountant, and he will tell you in which direction that you need to go, and he can probably even help you out. Excuse me. The issue is that the most important thing when you're looking at any type of a good thing, a good investment, an individual who portrays himself as so smart in investing, do your due diligence and check him out. There's lots of ways that you can check him out. Don't put any money into anything. Do not commit to anything about putting money into a scheme or an investment until you've done your due diligence. You know, we work hard for our money. We work hard for our status and our reputation. And once we get hit by a Ponzi scheme, so does our name, our financial freedom. It gets attacked by fraud. Think about what I've said, because Ponzi schemes and all these pyramid schemes and all these other things that we've talked about throughout the week are designed to lure you into something that's much better than anything else in the world. They talk to you. They pat you on the back. They become your best friend. They're so interested in everything about you. Walk away. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. If you have any questions, send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com. And I will try and walk you through any kind of issue that you may have. Ask me any question and I'll try and find you the answer to whatever your email is about. But stay away from getting ripped off. Do not become a Ponzi scheme victim. I will talk with you soon. God bless you and have a great day. And I'm sorry that I'm late, but listen, I had to get up before the sun hit me on the back because it's hot out here in South Carolina with about a 64% humidity. I tell you, when you're trying to dig holes and hammer and screw things in, that sun, when it hits you, is like an oven turned on full blast. Anyway, have a great day and we'll talk with you very, very soon.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.